But I think the main things is at the end of the day, volleyball is volleyball. It's in the same 9x9 court, and the rules are the same. So we. Is that on the back of your shirt?
Yeah, it's on the back of the shirt.
A little free shout out for you. And it doesn't matter who's on the other side of the net. You need to still execute to the best of your ability if you want a chance to win.
What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? I timed that perfectly, by the way. My name is Everett Delorme in Toronto. It's snowy. It's slushy. Our weather has been wild. We just went through an ice storm. It's been nuts. People in Barrie still don't have power. If you're watching this later and you're in Barrie and you didn't have power, I'm sorry. That is Rob St. Clair in Chicago. I have no idea what the weather is there, but his
thunderstorms.
His camera works this week, so we know he's happy about that. Ladies and gentlemen, this is episode 150. Now, it is technically not 150 because we do a lot of other things, but in terms of the 9x9, the 81 square meters of the best volleyball content on the internet, it is episode 150. So thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being a part of this. I remember when we were stoked about getting like 500 viewers. So welcome. Just wanted to say thank you. Rob, it has been let's not say slow, but as the season comes to a point, there's just less matches, but still a lot of drama. But first and foremost, we have to start off the court, where there was a big announcement as of Monday morning on Finn Taylor's and the real Finn Taylor. For those in the Discord, I know we've got more than a few Finn Taylors in there, but the real Finn Taylor, the CEO of Volleyball World, has announced that he is stepping down and will be stepping down, I think, at the end of April. Finn has been the only CEO of Volleyball World since it's coming to be back in 2021. Volleyball World is basically as old as this show.
Pretty much.
Which is interesting. And, Rob, it was interesting to kind of hear it because I think you might join me in the sentiment that it feels like we just kind of won him over, and like we just kind of started making inroads in that area. But at the same time, I'm going to pull up his. Do you have his LinkedIn
I do.
post? So if we could just pull up his LinkedIn post, and I don't want to like read through it, but he marks a few different milestones that he believes that he hit. Why is my LinkedIn all of a sudden in German? What is going on?
I'm gonna copy and put the link in the live chat. So you all can read Finn's message from, this was, I think, Monday morning. Basically, he says after 4 great years, he's made the decision to leave Volleyball World in a couple weeks at some date in late April. He says, since the formation of Volleyball World, we have accomplished remarkable milestones, including, I'm paraphrasing, transforming VNL into the most valuable annual competition in the world, developing VBTV into an industry-leading platform, securing TV rights deals, sponsorships, sports betting agreements, and expanding the footprint and, just generally growing the game of beach volleyball as well. So there was just like some certain level of mandate that he took upon himself when the company started back in 2021. And he reflects on his time at Volleyball World as accomplishing many of those and surpassing some of them. And it's difficult to this to me reads as just a lot of, corporate CEO speak. But generally, I think since the existence of Volleyball World in 2021, I do think that the sport is in a better place overall.
Oh yeah, you're gonna steal what I told you to say right before.
Well, it is like that.
Yeah, I fully agree. And for me, I did have the opportunity to be in the room with him, and then we had a few little small chats when I was there with him in Hamburg. And for me, that experience of getting to see him kind of around everyone, and there's like business deals happening with other potential stuff, and he was coming in and out. I got a much better idea of how he operates and how he works. And to be honest, like that, my experience in Hamburg really changed my opinions on a lot of things. Even at some point later on in that week, I was out for dinner with a few people, and I made a boomers joke, and one person was like, no. And I was like, to be honest, like being here, like I don't really think that much. Like if we go down this list, absolutely, like VNL is way bigger, right? With the exception of Volleyball World and the way they sell that product. You know, we've had our own thoughts about this product and just in terms of like the longevity of the players, but ultimately VNL is awesome, and the on-court product is awesome, and the off-court, like the in-stadium product is amazing.
Way
VBTV,
better than it ever was in the World League era. Huge step forward, especially
Yeah.
like.
But there was also VNL. But there was also VNL before.
There
Volleyball
was,
World,
18 and
Yeah,
19, and
exactly.
then. But yeah, it definitely improved since then. I mean, consolidating men's and women's into the same event. VNL is a good event. I agree.
Yeah. Well, that wasn't Volleyball World. And that wasn't him. That was done beforehand. Securing the largest, developing VBTV, which like we've talked about how many times. I think Volleyball World in general is unique in the fact that they have so much control over the best products in the sport, and they have essentially monopoly over it. Like all roads lead to Rome within Volleyball World right now. Like if you want to start watching volleyball, you have to do it on Volleyball World, right? If you want to watch the best leagues, you want to watch the best competitions, you have to watch it on Volleyball World, and there's not really any other entity that has that control. So that's amazing.
So that I think like that makes it sound ominous from a business perspective, but like for the fan, it's a good thing. Like consolidating all the good volleyball that like we used to have to look for in the most random possible different places. Almost all that in one place.
Is it bad in a business perspective? I disagree.
No, I
think it's an amazing thing.
It's good to have it all under one roof, and like to have Volleyball World and the FIVB work so like literally under the same roof in Switzerland. Like that is good. I don't think of it as a monopoly. I think of it as just like control over their own product, and they don't like license it out to as many external broadcasters. It's just more. It's a little bit more unified, and then there's the whole.
You're just taking out the middleman, right? Like you're
you're
just taking out that middleman and
more direct,
having that control over it, which is incredible.
It's good.
Securing the largest television rights deal in the history of volleyball. Sure.
What does he mean by that? What's he referring to?
I have no idea, to be perfectly honest. Not a clue. I don't know. One of the countries, maybe Poland.
He also said establishing the sport's largest sponsorship partnership. What's he referring to there? I also don't know.
I'm assuming Ganton, the water.
Yeah,
maybe that would be the only thing that I think about. In terms of those, like, I'm sure there's I'm sure there's documents to be able to show kind of what we brought on. But yeah, absolutely. Finally, is the most extensive betting rights agreement one expect. Sure, and expanding the footprint of professional beach volleyball. Like as I wanted to say earlier, is that I think volleyball's in a not much better spot necessarily, but in a better spot now thanks to Finn Taylor. And I think moving forward, I'm very interested to see what happens, especially since I know that, Volleyball World just went through so much change internally and there's so many things happening. And then now all of a sudden their head guy, and I know there's definitely people in executive roles who are only there because of him, right? And because of his influence. And, as I said, like I can understand, like the thing that the conversation that really got me was talking about the baseline angle
in
beach. And, like he was so focused on it and just making sure that it was perfect. And I was just like, there was many conversations about that. And around that, I was just like, oh, like you're starting to get it. Like you're starting to listen, like you're starting to understand. So, as I said, I think it was tough because I feel like they're just picking up some momentum, but ultimately I think that's also the reality of volleyball, is that the majority of people who work within volleyball aren't necessarily volleyball people.
Of course
right?
not.
So they're all looking for their next big opportunity.
Especially at the executive level like this. Like
100%.
This is a stepping stone job. And that for the CEO of Volleyball World, like whoever comes in next, I would be stunned if it was a homegrown, like lifelong volleyball person. I would just be really surprised by that.
Yeah. It's I'm very interested to see what happens, right? The direction of where they go next in terms of CEO. And I mean, they already have an interim guy stepping in who's the vice president of their board. I'm going to be very interested to see kind of what happens next, because who comes in and their personality and their vision is going to affect so many things. And right now, volleyball is in this very interesting spot where there's actually some things happening. Like there's some things happening with the United States. Like all of our professional products are starting to happen. VBTV is actually a viable product, and as those people in our community know, like they're actively working on it to make it better. So I would really like to see someone come in with like maybe a vision, and maybe someone who has a little bit of knowledge of the sport while still having a solid business acumen. I don't know if that actually exists.
Yeah, that's the golden ticket right there.
That is the golden ticket. And in volleyball, those things, you're either a good volleyball person or you're a good business person.
And
there's very
basically never both.
There's very few people who can do both. So hey, we'll see what it is. But ultimately, I do think that like we should thank Finn Taylor. You probably don't watch our show anymore because you're on the way to volleyball, and you don't care to. But I just want to thank you for taking your time in the sport, taking your time to, get us, maybe not get us involved, but allow us to be involved, and wish you best of luck in your future endeavors.
Yeah, whatever he does next, best of luck. Certainly, we'll keep an eye on who Volleyball World hires. I mean, it's, I think, useful now to point out the fact that Everett, that like this is your boss ultimately, at least for the moment. And it's not mine. I do not currently work for Volleyball World, but we know that Finn Taylor is aware of what we do and was part of bringing us into the mix a little bit more last year to get some more opportunities to do some more things. And another thing I think is fair to say is that, and you said this earlier, the CEO of this company in particular has a lot of influence, a lot of hands-on, direct, specific opinions and influence, because like Volleyball World and the FIVB are a pretty thin operation for the amount of like dollars and reach and events that they command. And like
thin is an understatement.
Yeah, it's a pretty thin operation, but like and the opinion and the vision of the CEO matters a huge amount. It has a lot of influence. So I'm very curious to see who they go out and get and what the rest of this calendar year looks like. I mean, it's VNL World Championship, all that stuff is already like set logistically, but there are definitely some vision things and some operations things that the next person is going to have to decide upon and lay out a plan for as we head through. I'd say like the 2028 Olympics, I assume, is the term they're looking at for the next CEO.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Right. Like you want to look at this at least as a quad,
at least,
if not longer. Please, like let's have someone maybe for 10 years.
Yeah,
right? I think that would be really nice.
Yeah, this game works in Olympic cycles. If we got to 2032, great. If we got to 2036, great. Like whatever it ends up being, but yeah, we will keep an eye on whoever comes next.
We'll see what happens with those Olympics there. Yeah, we'll see if those actually happen.
Yeah, that's a whole nother can of worms. Okay, is that it for off court?
Yeah, that's it for off court. Let's head on court, Rob, where I really wish we could go back and play your insistence that Igor Gorgonzola Novara never stood a chance, didn't even deserve to be in the same room as the high and mighty Conegliano, who were on a 50-game win streak. They were looking to the stars. They were going after the best. But instead, they got Tatiana Tolok, who went absolutely off, and Novara 3-dongs Conegliano for the first time since 2023, ends their winning streak. It's the second time in as many years that Novara has ended Conegliano's perfect season at this juncture in the semifinals. It was wonderful. It was amazing. Do I think they're going to win the series? No, probably not. I'm sorry. You're not going to get Gabi going 2 for 20, 6 for 22.
No.
Again like that. Tolok was amazing.
What a week she had. My God. Yeah, the huge winners, obviously, this week in all of volleyball is Novara. Woo! Like, ridiculous. The
best.
Yeah, they were insane. And I think my main point last week that I'm actually kind of happy to be wrong about is that I didn't think that Novara believed that they had the ability to beat Conegliano. And now they might as well have that belief because they just did it. They 3-donged him at home in front of an awesome crowd. They had an otherworldly Tatiana Tolok performance. I mean, 26 points in 3 sets.
That's great.
That's almost 9 points per set is completely ridiculous. 2 blocks, 3 aces, like contributing in break points against a team like that. Unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. And then she backed it up again, CEV Cup yesterday, which we'll talk about later. I agree with you. You're not going to get that poor performance from both Conegliano left sides again, but I am happy that Novara believes that they can do it now, at least I hope. And I'm happy that this series is interesting. Although, if I had to predict what's going to happen, it's going to be real damn similar to last year.
Yeah. We'll see. I think this one could get interesting. I think this Novara team is a little bit deeper. I really wanted to see Taylor Mims. We didn't need Taylor Mims in this one. Tolok was outstanding. But also, too, I think that just the way that Novara played their team game, right? Alsmeyer and Ishikawa both have 12,
Great.
Right? They were both pretty good. Ishikawa got blocked a few times, but the entirety of their team was just outstanding. You can tell that they had, like, the reality is they 100% had someone before the game give a bit of a rah-rah and be like, guys, like, this is arguably, I still think on paper this Conegliano team is the best of all time. Like,
very well, maybe.
There's a lot of arguments that once the season is done, I'll put together a nice little thing and I'll make those arguments then. But I think that you just go into it, you're playing at home, maybe your last time. Let's just go out there and play free. No pressure. Let's just go balls to the wall. And they absolutely did. And there's no better person to do that than on the back of a Russian right now in women's volleyball, right? If you want to win, if you want an upset, get a Russian. It's like that Will Ferrell movie, Kicking and Screaming. Instead of Italians, it's Russians.
Yeah, the Russian, what could be for the Russian women's national team right now, at least in terms of wings. I would have questions about their setter, libero, and middles, but like the options they have on the wings, Tolok, Markova, Fedorovtseva. I mean, Akimova is still injured on the Novara bench. Like, it's completely insane the wealth of firepower that Russia would potentially have on the wings right now on the women's national team side, and their players are making massive impacts. I mean, Tolok this week was otherworldly great.
Yeah.
Conegliano was bad, I will say that. Other than Isabel Haak in this game, and she was perfectly good, 20 points, 14 for 28 with 5 stuff blocks, which is crazy.
They were just like discombobulated.
Really sleepy, discombobulated, like not engaged. It was very like, it was jarring to look at a team wearing Conegliano jerseys playing like that. I think that franchise and that team will see this result as a wake-up call, and I expect a authoritative performance this week.
I don't think it's necessarily a wake-up call. To me, a wake-up call is when things are going bad, right? This is just, they just fell asleep for one day. I think there's a massive difference in that. You know, you're allowed to have one bad game.
Oh, sure.
It sucks that it ended, you know, what could have been one of the greatest seasons ever, but
still could be.
Hey, well, on paper, I don't know if you can make that argument anymore. Well, it's one of them.
I think that if you go undefeated in the regular season and you win every tournament that you play in, then that is one of the greatest seasons of all time. If you drop a match in a 5-match series, which by the way this is, we got confirmed that these Lega Volley Femminile semifinals are best of 5, so we'll see at least 2 more matches in this Conegliano Novara series. If you drop one match in a best of 5 series on your way to winning a title, I think it's still a pretty damn good season.
Yeah, I agree. But I do think that this Conegliano team is, as I said, one of the best ever. And it's just something that happens. I mean, when they lost their run years ago, they lost to like someone random, like Firenze.
Yeah, that sounds right. I think it was a 5-setter against.
It was a 5-setter.
Might have been Firenze. That was like the 70 or 80-ish game win streak, right?
Yeah.
The one was ridiculous.
And then that Greek name, I'm sorry, Aristolius Karakoulias in the chat makes a really good point. They've never won the 5 cups in a season. Their undefeated season back in 2020, 2021, because of all of everything going on in the world right now, or at the time, if you don't remember, it was COVID. There was no Club World Championships. So they have the ability to get all of the trophies, which is something that only Vakif Bank has done.
The Infinity Gauntlet.
But yeah, they are still in line to get the Infinity Gauntlet.
And I agree with Jemmy in the chat. If they want to be considered the greatest women's volleyball team of all time, they have to win that. They have to win that. I think it would still be a true stunning upset if they were to not win the Lega Volley Femminile. But the Champions League is a bit of a different beast now that the semifinals are one match, do or die. Semifinals and final are one match, do or die. They'll still be the favorite, but I think now the rest of the world is like perked their eyes up a little bit, especially like Vakif Bank and Milonza, Scandici. Like they're like, oh, wait a minute, maybe there's a blueprint for beating this team after all.
Yeah, I don't know if there's a blueprint though, because I don't like the blueprint is let's just hope that Gabi and Moki play like shit. You know, like it's unless you're gonna like poison them or something, you know. Like,
it's not like you're right. It's not replicable, but like it can be done.
Yeah, it's not, and it's not like, hey, let's go get ourselves I'll bet each of those teams, like each of those teams are going to be playing up against Conegliano, have a player that they can go to. Right on the other side of the bracket, you've got Agono, and you've got Antropova, who we're still trying to figure out if she's one of those. Same thing. Is Fenerbahce still alive? Nope. Oh no, Fenerbahce is dead.
They lost to Vakif Bank, and you might as well count Markova in that mix.
100%. Yeah, Markova. There is players out there who can pop off the way that Tolok did. But the other side of that is you have to play against one of the most mentally tough teams in the history of volleyball, maybe. And this is a team that, if you look at their overall, like they hit 41% in this game, and their efficiency is probably under 3, which might be the first time all season that they've done that. Right?
Yeah, 26 for 91 is definitely under 300 efficiency.
Yeah. So, like this is, you're not going to get this quite a bit with this Conegliano team.
Probably not.
I don't think.
Credit to Novara though. I mean, 7 aces, 9 errors is outstanding. 8 blocks is outstanding. Good offense, probably like well above 30% efficiency is outstanding. Like
it was a full team game. They played their game plan. Every aspect of their game plan was not in terms of gameplay. Every aspect of their game play was well executed. They were serving, they were blocking, they were playing defense, they were making digs. They were hitting the ball. It was outstanding. Moving on to the other semifinal, Rob, where this one was an absolute banger. And man, I just said that Antropova is still making her case to being one of the best, but 38 points in this one, Rob St. Clair. Agonu on the opposite side of the net, who ended up being the victor, only 23. But man, Henna Krtajic has to be the best prospect in women's volleyball right now. Is that too much to say? 9 for 14, 7 blocks. Isn't this her like first or second year of like actual pro volleyball?
Yeah,
like she was a rookie in the VNL this past season. She's going into her second year of the VNL, but that is ridiculous.
She's
9 for 14, 7 blocks.
Very clearly the best middle prospect in the world. There's not even a conversation about that. I mean, 17 points from the middle, no matter how old you are, what country you're from, is ridiculous. And 7 stuff blocks against Scandici, who, I mean, they're a little bit one-dimensional, but 7 stuff blocks is 7 stuff blocks. Like, that is an unreal performance. And I think somebody in the Discord said that of Milonza's 4 playoff matches so far, Krtajic has been the MVP of 3 of them. Like, she is absolutely balling out. She is unreal. However, Everett, I want to go back to something that you said on last week's show. You said that even if it's in a losing effort, Ekaterina Antropova, after a pretty lackluster game in match 1 of this series, she had to do something special. She had to do something special. And did she ever? Oh my God. 38 points, 29 for 65, a block, and 8 service aces. 8 of them.
And only 3 errors. Right?
It's unimaginable.
She had 29 aces altogether. Just herself, right? And only 3 errors. That in itself, I would be like, damn.
Ridiculous.
Damn.
And then on the volume that she did offensively too. I mean, we talked about at the end of the regular season how crazy her volume was given the load that she carries for that team. And this match is the perfect example of that. Like, what is it? 65 attempts is completely insane.
Yeah.
And she was 2 points away from dragging her team to a victory in this match. I mean, all 3 of the sets that Scandici lost were by 2 points. Like this, it couldn't have been closer.
It couldn't have been. And to me, it's just, it goes back to the lack of diversity in the offense, the fact that she's getting clamped 7 times in this match, right? And watching it too, there was just so many times I was like, can you guys just go to someone else, right? Like, can someone else be effective? Like,
dude, I feel bad for her. I really do.
Yeah, they like, and ultimately, like, 14 unforced errors for Scandici as a whole. If you have a player like Antropova, if she's going to be taking 70 or 65 chucks in a match, like, she's allowed to make 10 errors altogether. Like that is more than allowable. But her bots can't be making 3 errors, right? Like she has to be more efficient in that situation. Same thing with Mingardi. Mingardi needs to be better. If she's not going to be terminating the ball, then there needs to be, I guess, 3 errors over 5 sets. It's not terrible, right?
But like, she's playing like she's attacking. Mingardi is attacking with L2 numbers, and she's not passing with L2 numbers.
No, exactly.
At that point, what are you doing out there? I mean, she is an opposite, playing out of position. If you go 9 for 32 and don't pass the ball well, that is not good enough offensively to justify a player of that type being on the floor.
No. So there's just some things there missing from Scandici, but to me, this has to be like what I asked from Antropova. She did it, and did it with flying colors.
Absolutely.
You're 100% right. She was outstanding.
She was, but it wasn't enough, man. I really do feel bad for her. And now they have especially because it didn't. Milonza went up 2 sets to none, and Scandici clawed all the way back, and it still wasn't enough. I mean, that would be demoralizing if I was Antropova and I put up a performance like that and it wasn't enough. I didn't get that little bit more support from my team, and now they trail in the series 2 matches to none. And let's see, this was at home. You have to go back to
play in Milano, which is a good barn to go play in. You're gonna be either, there's 2 situations. Somehow Milano needs to not necessarily show up, which is perfectly capable. They've been rolling recently. Like this team is really starting to show their quality.
Yeah, they're playing awesome.
And Milano needs to play somewhat so-so, and Antropova needs to have another performance of this type, or you need to have one of the like Herbots needs to have a game.
Yep.
Right. Herbots would need to drop like 15 plus offensively, and like Herbots needs to have a 20-point game for them to be able to go to. And I don't know if this Scandici team has that ability to switch it up enough. Like
I agree that they don't have that ability because they're handcuffed by the stupid foreigner limit, and they do this to themselves every single year. There are people asking in the chat, like, why is Mingardi in there? Why don't you play either Kara Bajamar, Lindsay Ruddins, like any of the other options? It's because they can't. One of the reasons why they can't is because they refuse to bench one of 2 players, and one of them is Anna Carolina in the middle, and she has not been awesome. 7 points, negative efficiency on offense in this 5-setter. That's not good enough. The other thing is that the whole reason why Brenda Castillo left Milonza is because she wasn't being guaranteed playing time because of the foreigner limit. So now she goes to Scandici and completely dominates a foreigner spot at the libero position. And she's amazing, obviously.
Dude, look at her passing numbers. 83% per positive.
They're ridiculous.
Perfect.
But you can't tell me that Scandici wouldn't benefit from having the flexibility to do something else on the left side.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, to be honest, I think Scandici really needs to go out and get an Italian setter. Right. I don't think
that's part of it too.
I don't think Maya is good enough.
I agree.
And if you can go out and get you already ruined things with Malinov, so you can't go down to get Malinov. I know one of our Italians in the chat is going to be able to suggest someone better, but I mean, hey, it doesn't even matter at this point. They just gotta perform. And to be honest, I don't know if they can. I don't know if I have less. I actually might have less faith in Scandici than I do Novara.
Wow. I figured you might be about to go there, but I actually don't think that's that crazy. I mean,
I think Novara has spunk. right? Like
clearly, yeah, they just showed it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Novara has spunk, whereas I haven't really seen that type of performance from Scandici yet this year.
I've seen it from exactly one player, and we
Yes.
just learned just now that it's not enough.
But not the collectiveness of them. Whereas right now Milano is they started off terrible, but they're figuring out that collectiveness. It's also a lot easier when you've got four of your starting 7 players are all on the Italian national team together. So.
Gold medalists.
Yeah,
that does help. Also, shout out, Milonza made a libero switch in the middle of this match, bringing in Satomi Fukudome, and she was a little bit of a game changer, kind of as much as you can be at the libero spot anyway. So I thought that was a nice move.
Like it. All right, moving from the women. Rob, do you just want to head over to the men's? Just touch on the men real quick because there was no actual games this past week.
There was none over the weekend, but we did our last show last Tuesday. Then the remaining 2 quarterfinal series got cleaned up on Wednesday. Trentino beat Cisterna 3-1 to advance. Lube beat Milano 3-1 to advance. Both of those matches were decent. I actually give Cisterna a huge amount of credit for how they played Trentino. I think they played about as well as they could have. They gave it everything they had, and they were just outmatched. So I do give Cisterna a lot of credit. Now, Everett, the semifinals that we have, I think are awesome.
Yes,
I think they are awesome.
I want to dive into this shit a little.
Trentino versus Piacenza on one side, Perugia versus Lube on the other side. I love this.
There is one caveat, and I think it's a big caveat.
Yep.
It is the injury to Fabian Balasso for Lube. That to me, Rob, changes a lot. Changes a lot in terms of the dynamic for Lube. And Lube, they like, there's some teams where a libero can be kind of almost subbed in and out. Like they're going to be relied upon, but not that much. A, Balasso is Balasso, and B, within that team and that system and how much they need him in serve receive, that is a huge blow for
massive impact. I also think he's the only libero in the league, at least that I know of, that wears the bar. He's the captain of the team.
Yeah.
And that is, I think the word I would use is irreplaceable. Some liberos are replaceable, especially like the random Italian ones that like are good enough and you can cycle them in. Fabio Balasso is irreplaceable, and I'm curious to see
who is their second.
I have no idea. I have absolutely no clue. And it's not like Lube has a whole lot of like luxury in terms of foreigners and that whole situation. It's not awesome. Francesco Bisotto is listed as the last guy.
He's also already signed for next year. So
who is Bisotto or Balasso?
Yeah, Bisotto. For
Lube or for someone else?
For Lube.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
so they're keeping that crew together. It's most of this. The context of the series, I think, should be about Fabio Balasso being not in there, because if there's one team to play against that is the worst possible case to be missing your starting libero, it's Perugia.
Yeah, I would definitely agree. Just because Perugia, especially from the baseline, is just so terrifying with Bentara, Plotnitsky, Semeniuk, Ishikawa bench,
Gianelli, Loser,
the list goes on. Like even Soleil and his little is just gonna get you.
His little what was that?
His little,
Thanks.
just a little bit. Yeah. So I think that this is worst case scenario. I'm gonna go back to this, that I think that they're gonna need to go to the 3 outside hitter system, because you need a little bit more ball control out there. Like you need a little bit more ball control, mostly so Nikolov can be free to swing, right? Like I think that like if Lube is going to be successful, they need to play not straight up. They need to play a little bit dirty. They need to both loads need to be outstanding. Nikolov needs to maybe have the best series of his life. And whoever's on the right side needs to really show up too. But I think that they should go to the 3 outside hitter system. I really do.
I definitely think they need to keep their options open. It's kind of like the beginning of the Milano series, where if Lube tries to pigeonhole themselves into a opposite dominated answering high balls with high balls sort of style, the Legumsha, Legumsha is a good player. He can have good matches against good teams. It's not going to win him a series against a team like Perugia without their starting libero. People are giving you a hard time in the chat for finding excuses to play.
Burke is 100% right.
And of course he's right. I love Eric Lepke.
Yeah, and that's,
reception is not a strength of his at
no,
the
I wouldn't
elite
say.
international level.
I wouldn't say so either. I think he does a decent job sometimes. But I also agree with Luke D in the chat that Addis has played good. Played well.
Couple really good games, and then a couple terrible games. Like that's,
yeah.
I agree with you. If LOVB needs to make this series as disgusting and weird as possible, because like I don't think Perugia will really know what to do themselves if they get like stuck in the mud of a disgusting and weird series. They're used to just being like big and strong and breaking stuff and hitting people hard.
No, I'm gonna push back on that a little bit, especially with this roster, just because like you've got guys who can play any types of game style. Like their roster in the past, especially when they were rocking like a Leon with Herrera situation, like that to me was pure. But now when you've got like guys like Plotnitsky and Semeniuk, I think that their game is a little bit more varied. So I'm not too worried that they can't handle it, but I do think it makes things way more interesting from LOVB's side. And it gives you more options too. If they don't go to 3 outside hitter system at one point in the maybe 3 matches where they're going to get 3-donged in the series, then I think it might be a loss. Especially since they saw that success with it at the Coppa Italia. Like
that's a great point.
There is proof there that it works.
Great point. Yeah, the Coppa Italia is a good thing to fall back upon. I mean, LOVB has 5 serviceable wings. Not very many teams in the league have that. Because they've also got Zirlic as the backup, like true opposite, and they've got 3 perfectly good left sides. So
there's options there.
Yeah, there definitely are some options there. Speaking of teams that I would not say have very many options, but play extremely different styles, Trentino and Piacenza is a fascinating series. You have the flat line of Trentino that rarely plays below 85 to 90%, but sometimes doesn't play above that, against the roller coaster ride that is Piacenza on a day in, day out basis.
Yeah, but I kind of like this Piacenza roller coaster right now. I'm not gonna lie. There's just something about them, and they're just one of these teams that I think can just kind of get sneaky good. And I know, you know what? I think, did they fire their coach this year?
Oh yeah. They fired Anastasi.
Yeah. Okay. I remember now. Yeah, they fired Anastasi. So you've gotten rid of that. You're also not trying to start.
Uros Kovacevic every time on the left side
anymore, and you're going with Poria, and
Poria plays for LOVB. You're thinking about Mandaraja. He's been awesome.
Mandaraja, Iranian, Turkish. Actually, I'm not going to say they're the same. They'll both try to kill me. But I think that when I watch this Piacenza team now, you've got a few different elements that I think makes them really dangerous once you get to this juncture. You've got guys who know how to win. Right? You're set by a 2-time Olympic gold medalist who on any given Sunday could be the best player in the gym. Is he always? No, not always. Not always. Down the middle, you have a Mount Rushmore, the GOAT in his position. Now, he might be a little over the hill, but he can still get it done. On the outside, you have a young gun who a lot of people don't have a lot of film on Mandaracha, and he can really fly, and you've got an absolute workhorse in Stephen Marr. The big question mark to me, and I think that to me, this could be a breakout series for Yuri Romano. Yuri Romano has actually been pretty good. Right? Like he has actually showed up, and I'm going to say he's actually been like I'm going to extend that even to the Olympics, right? Because even back when
incredible at the Olympics,
he was incredible at the Olympics, and even when Italy was struggling in their Olympic run, when guys like Giannelli completely lost their head and crashed out, Romano was still there performing. And I think that this could be a series for him to really make his mark and potentially solidify himself as that number 1 guy for the Italian national team. It could be a really big opportunity for him.
It could. His numbers in the Verona series were unbelievable. Decent volume and extremely high efficiency. And we've talked about big game Romano as a good thing since he was playing in the A2 division and randomly got called up to help Italy win a European championship a couple years ago. So he's got that in there. Like Piacenza, this is the thing all year, and kind of the reason why I'm on the other side of this from you. The roster is there. The roster is absolutely there. But the likelihood that they put it all together in a given match, I think is very, very low, especially against a team like Trentino. Piacenza, the comparison of Piacenza being the Resovia of Italy is spot on.
And look what Resovia is doing right now.
blowing it in late in all their competitions is what they're doing right now. They had,
but they played without their best player. So we're not going to get into that now. But I respectfully disagree. I think this Piacenza team has they put it together starting throughout this Verona series, and I think that this is a team that can they get up to play Trentino. They get up to play Trentino. They don't get up to play Cisterna and them. But
first of all,
to play Trentino.
I don't give Piacenza very much credit for playing the Verona team that they played in the quarterfinal. That was not really a very worthwhile opponent for them, given everything that was going on Verona's side. The other thing is the same thing. They put up good numbers and they played pretty well. I agree. Same thing as with Resovia is how I stand with Piacenza right now. Is I will believe it when I see it. I'll believe that they have the ability to win a deep playoff series against a great opponent when I see it. And they can put together all the good rosters on paper that they want. They can come and play in the best volleyball that they want. I reserve the right to not believe in them until they do it in a big moment. And this Piacenza franchise, since they were restarted however many couple of years ago it was, the only thing that they have done is catch fire for 2 matches and win the Coppa Italia like 2 years ago. When Perugia had that epic collapse. Everything else Piacenza has done has been a massive disappointment, and they've made bad decisions at the franchise level throughout. So I like the roster, and I think that they're playing well. I will believe it when I see it in a playoff series against a Trentino, who I do think is a little bit vulnerable right now. I definitely will give you that. They are beatable.
Vulnerable. I think they're very vulnerable. You lose a series like you did to Ziraat Bank. You lost matches to Cisterna. Like that series against Cisterna was way closer than it should have been, right? I think that when you look at the way Trentino plays their game, is that there's just been no variation with that. Everyone knows the book on them. Right. And it doesn't matter how many points Micheletti can score, because we know that he's going to go off. We know that he's one of the best players in volleyball, hands down. But can you stop the other guys? I think Lavia to me is Lavia has to really step up. If Trentino is going to find themselves in the finals, Lavia has to step up.
I agree.
Right? He needs to be the third best outside on the court. Right. At the very least, if not the second, if not the second, I don't know if Trentino really has that ability to push through this. If Piacenza pulls a Piacenza and fucks off, then yeah, absolutely. Trentino, right? Trentino is just going to stay at their steady place. Their 75% is better than most. Yep. Maybe but everyone than Perugia, and they're going to win it, right? But if Piacenza goes in and fucks shit up and flips the tables right off the bat, then once we go prison rules, all bets are off.
For sure. Piacenza has that capability. If all 7 of them play their best version of volleyball, it can beat probably anyone on the planet, maybe even Perugia. But I will believe that is possible in a playoff series against a good opponent when I see it. And we're about to see it, and I'm excited for it.
I'm stoked on this. I think
so. Let's pick them. Let's pick both series.
I'm picking Piacenza in 5.
Whew.
Yeah,
I'm picking Trentino in 4. I think Piacenza plays great for 1 match, but not for the length of the series.
Yeah, I'm picking Piacenza in 5.
How about the other one?
Perugia in 3.
I kind of also think Perugia in 3.
Perugia in 3.
Yeah, I kind of also think Perugia in 3.
Yeah,
that's depressing, but yeah, I really think the Balasso loss is huge.
Yeah, I don't. Right now in the world of volleyball, I don't know if if any team losing a libero would be as significant as LOVB losing Balasso.
Yeah, it's hard to disagree with that.
Maybe
for sure.
Maybe Talis Hos for Lublin and what he's been doing there this year.
Maybe like a Luke Perry for Xavierche. There are a lot of good liberos, but losing Balasso is enormous. Another thing, Everett, that's good is that these semifinals are on different days this weekend. Perugia Lube is Saturday. Yes. Trentino Piacenza is Sunday. Love to see that. Thank you, SuperLega, for once.
I do like that. I do like that a lot.
Yes, we do. All right, more playoffs to talk about.
Shoji. You're actually right on that, Rasmus. I do agree with that.
Well, we'll talk about them in just a second. But first,
Papa.
First, we got to talk about Daddy. Daddy Stankovic, as always, is hidden somewhere in every episode as part of the Where's Daddy segment. Y'all got to keep an eye out for where he shows up. I have a good time photoshopping him every week. And if you comment the timestamp of where he is in the main YouTube comment section, not only does that help our YouTube algorithm, which you should all comment on the video and like and thumbs up the video, but you also get a shout out the following week if you find our hero, Mr. Stankovic. And here he was last week celebrating the Turkish Cup with Fenerbahce. There he is on the upper left. That was a half decent Photoshop job.
Nice.
Yeah.
I did not see that.
Excellent. I like it when I can slip it past you in real time. Kenny found him first, but then he didn't comment the timestamp. So Kenny, you did not follow the rules. Therefore, you lose. Our friend Devin from the Volleyball Coverage channel found him and said, Daddy spotted. Kenny didn't add a timestamp, so I win.
I love that. Like that.
Someone else said, Daddy in yellow just works. Also, nice editing. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, so keep an eye out for Daddy Stankovic. It's one
Daddy in yellow does work, actually. You're right.
Yeah, man, he's that Modena. That Modena
he's
yellow
playing for Serbia.
I mean, if I could be Daddy, I would for so many reasons. But if I could just like twilight my career and like get Italian citizenship and just like hang out in Italy and then not have to play in the summer, he's got a good thing going, man.
Yeah, especially in Modena too. Like just like good eats.
Absolutely.
You're just gonna I'm just seeing him just sitting in a nice little square, sunglasses on, wearing linen, drinking an espresso.
I want to go hang out with him while he does that. But yeah, keep an eye out for the man himself. We will. Well, I'm not going to tell you where he is, obviously, but he's somewhere in this show. Poland, Everett.
Poland.
So this is the bracket here after the first round of the quarterfinals. Quarterfinals are best of 3. We've actually had 2 matches since then. But we got to talk. There's like 6 matches to catch up on. Some of them, obviously, we can spend less time on than others. Which? Let's go series by series. Which series do you want to start with?
Let's start at the top there. Let's start with JW versus Norvid because that's one of the 2 series that has ended.
It's the only series.
It's the only series that has ended. JW getting the 2-0 series sweep, 3-0 in the first game. Got the reverse sweep coming back in 3-2 in the second game. First and foremost, I think you need to give a massive fucking shout out to Norwich Czestochowa.
Totally agree.
This is a team that at the beginning of the season, I think we put them in the relegation round, but just something that happened in the way that this team was built. Indra had a fantastic breakout season, and I think for me, the Czech Republic is going to be, Czechia, I apologize, is going to be one of those teams that I'm going to circle for world championships and keep an eye on them because, like, Indra, we saw Vishina today for Resovia was fantastic.
Shotala,
the
problem with Czech is that all their good players are opposites.
Is Davis Skiba or
Davis Skiba is Belarusian. Javaronok is Czech, but he is hurt.
Oh, okay,
and hasn't played for the national team in a minute. But there's a lot of decent Czech players out there. I echo your congratulations to Norvid. Incredible season they had. It is sad that. Well, first of all, Milad Badapor was sick for match 1. And that was a massive loss.
I think also like Milad put himself back on the map.
Unbelievable season. Really good.
Unreal season. There's a few. I think the 3 players for me to look at within Norvid have to be first Indra, second Milad, and then third and most notably, of course,
Quinn Isaacson.
Quinn Isaacson, absolutely.
Yeah, great year for all those guys. They were fun to watch. I hope that their fan base and their franchise is really happy about how this went. But JSW is JSW. They're really good, and they came back and won the match. In this was yesterday. This is actually pretty fun, pretty dramatic. Luciano Vicentin came off the bench for Timothy Carl and was really good. Łukasz Kaczmarek was pretty good. Tomasz Farnal is the man. He's playing at an MVP level, and you're going to have to play really, really damn well for the duration of an entire series to beat JSW, because like their track record, Everett, I was looking into this, is super interesting. They've been so successful in the PlusLiga playoffs the last couple of years, and they've won the last 2. But in single match championship situations, so like Super Cup, and then the Champions League final, haven't been nearly as good. So the longer a series is, the more likely JSW is to succeed. The next series against whoever it is will be best of 3. If they get to the final, it'll be best of 5. It'll just be difficult to pick against them.
Yeah, I think the longer the series goes on, the more opportunities JSW has, just
Yeah.
because of how this roster is built up, and they really have that ability to kind of grind you down, right? They've got skilled players everywhere. They love to prolong rallies, and it like they don't necessarily play the most threatening style of volleyball offensively. In terms of I don't think their first ball side out rate is like a super high as other guys. I wish this information was readily available, but it's not because it's volleyball. And I can find better stats about 13-year-old hockey players from 2007 than I can about any volleyball league now. But I digress. I think that JSW does have statistically the best offense in the PlusLiga. However, it's really just because of how efficient they're able to stay and how everyone is all working together. But I think in a long-term series, this team is really tough to beat.
Yep, real good. So they are the only team that has advanced to the semifinals. They will play the winner of the other series that we had match number 2 already, which is Zaxa versus Lublin. And I think we can quickly address match number 2 because Bartosz Kurek didn't play for Zaxa, and this was a beatdown.
Yeah, it was. You could tell that like Zaxa did start the first part of the season. I mean, they played almost over a third of the season without Kurek and with Mateusz Rechko on the right side, but he was out up until like the day before, 2 days out for the match. He was out with the flu and he was out sick, so he wasn't even 100%. Kurek wasn't there, and
Kurek hurt his back like right before, like a day or two before the match.
Yeah, and so that one is just like we were discussing it so much in the Discord that so much of the offense for Zaxa runs through Kurek, and they have done such an amazing job. But at the end of the day, like Grabelny, Shimura, and Rechko on the right side, like that is not an outside trio that can get the job done. I think that really the magic of Zaxa this year is that you've got a bunch of guys who are winners, right? A bunch of guys who know how to win and know how to do the little things. Like you've got everyone's got good ball control, and then you've got some really fantastic leadership and a dude who just is a pure scorer.
Yep.
And you take away 4.5 points per set, it's going to make it's actually way more than that. I think it's like close, like up to 5. It's really going to hurt you.
Yeah, that's well said. And the Zaxa magic, I think, kind of showed up in match 1 because they went on the road to Lublin and beat them in 4, and they looked really damn good doing it. And Kurek dropped 22 points on 43% efficiency. So then all of a sudden you take that away, and the guy who's backing him up isn't like ready to play and isn't 100%. Like you really just don't stand a chance. But that obviously the huge question going into match number 3, which is on Sunday, is Kurek going to play? Because if he doesn't, I think the series is over and Lublin's going to the semis.
I honestly think that Lublin might go regardless. I think that the Lublin home gym has been really, really tough to play in all year. And I don't think it's going to be, even if they have Kurek, I think it's going to be a really tough place to play. And this is a team that wants to build. They want to get better. You're led by arguably like one of the greatest players of all time. It's just to me like Zaxa would have to come up with a superb, like first and foremost, Kurek needs to be 100%.
Yep.
Right. Even if he comes back at like 80%, I don't know if that's good enough.
Might not be.
I really don't. So yeah, I really think that without Kurek at 100%, I don't know. It just seems like the stars are aligning for Lublin to be able to get it done at home and make their first ever PlusLiga semifinals.
I agree with that. I think it's Lublin's time. They have grown to this point as a franchise to have this exact opportunity right here. They went out and got arguably the best player of all time, like one of them, a generationally great player. They've built an awesome team. They got the 4th seed in the league, and now like you do all of that so that you can play a do or die game at home to go to the semifinals and like guarantee yourself a chance to play for champions. Like there's so many things on the line, and I just think it's Lublin's time. I think that they are at this point, and Zaxa's time has already passed. They won 3 Champions Leagues in a row. They've already done it. Without Bartosz Kurek, I truly think there's no chance. But I think the sports gods are like the cycle of just kind of how all this works, I think it's Lublin's turn.
Yeah, the energy. Reality check in the chat is saying Grozanov got injured too, and while that is true, and Grozanov has been really good,
He's the middle.
He's their middle and he does lead Lublin in blocks per set this season. However, you also have seen Novakovsky, who's their third middle, play quite a bit, especially down the stretch a little bit now. So you're really not losing all of that much when you have McCarthy and Novakovsky, as opposed to like Grozanov. Like I'm sure, yes, but the middle of the court is not where Lublin thrives, and Novakovsky has proven to be more than sufficient. And could be a starter. Is like Novakovsky could be a starter in this league, hands down. So if Grozanov is out, it's just a good opportunity for him.
Right. It's very different than Kurek being out. Completely different conversation. The other two series, one is a quick one. Warszawa donged Skra in match number 1. They play again on Saturday in Bełchatów. Hopefully that's a little bit better because this first match was close. It was competitive. Like all 3 sets were 2 points, but I never felt like there was a chance Warszawa was going to lose.
No, I just the outsides like Kunzic and Peric just didn't have that juice, and they need that Serbian juice. I don't know what it is, that little powder that they put in the big bottles, and it kind of looks like, my piss after drinking all night and I'm really dehydrated, yet it somehow gives them the juice. So maybe they just missed out on their shipments. Hopefully they got some for next time. But the real thing is that those guys need to be going off, especially Peric needs to be going off from the baseline to be able to crack the nut that is Warszawa. Right? Warszawa is so steady. They're just so good everywhere, and they have that depth, and they have the ability to switch it up and to change up the game plan. So I just see an opportunity here I think that Skra is going to come out guns a-blazing set 1. They're going to be at home. They're going to have that vibe, but ultimately I think Warszawa is just going to smother them. Right? Start Boland. If he's not going, switch to Weber, switch up the game plan, and then see how Skra can respond after that, and I don't think they can.
I agree with that. Also, if you get another performance like Archer Shalpuk put up in game 1, the series is over.
Yeah.
Because he scored 22 points on 18 for 26, attacking with 0 errors. He was absolutely automatic.
69% efficiency.
Nice. Real nice. Plus 3 aces in a block. That's ridiculous in 3 sets at the left side position. It's crazy. Over 7 points per set is otherworldly great. So we'll see if Skra can make a series out of it. But my personal favorite match, Everett, so far was Zavierce going on the road. No, sorry, at home. My fault. Zavierce ends Resovia's winning streak. Resovia has been the hottest team on the planet. Not anymore. They couldn't handle that tiny little intimate, loud Zavierce barn, and Zavierce beat him in 4.
Well, it wasn't the tiny, intimate, loud Zavierce barn. They played somewhere different for this match.
They played in a bigger arena.
They played in a bigger arena. Also, too, without Bartosz Bednors, right? And I do think that is a massive caveat for both this game and then the next game that we're going to talk about with Resovia, because Bednors has been fantastic. He's been averaging over 4 points a set for them. Like, that is not insignificant amount of scoring. And we've seen what Bednors can do over the years in like remember that Zoxa run when he came in halfway through, right? He can be outstanding. So my big question though is that it sounds like he's been having calf problems. Correct me in the chat if I'm wrong. It sounds like he's been having calf problems and he's been suffering them for a little while. Once you got to this point, and once you got here and you knew that, hey, we're not in 11th anymore, we're not going to be in the relegation race, and we're going to be in the playoffs, and we're going to be continuing, why not rest him? Why are you playing him all the way through? If he's been suffering a calf injury, if he's been having these issues, sit him down. Don't play him. Right? Like, why has he been playing all the way through? Now, right now, as we speak, I'm going to pull up the stat sheet against Bedzin, and that was our last game of the year.
I think that was after he got hurt against Trentino in the CEV Cup.
Yes.
So he probably didn't play in that one, but I agree with you that he probably played too much down the stretch. You have Lucas Vashina, who I think is good and capable. He was terrible against Zavierce and had to get benched, but he was very good today in the CEV Cup match, which we'll talk about in a little bit. The the other thing that's going to be a real big problem for Resovia is another injury that happened today, and Clement Chabel hurt his ankle. So that's like those are two starting outside hitters. And I mean, Stefan Boyer is a monster, but he can't do it on his own against a team as good as Zavierce is.
No, we can talk about Chabel actually, honestly, I don't think the Chabel injury is necessarily that bad. I think it might be a little bit something, just a little bit of cortisone in there, a little bit.
It's fixable, that's for sure.
Especially since he was able to play on it today. Now that recovery time, like whenever they play, when are they going to be playing that first
Saturday?
Match? Saturday. Ooh, that is actually you've had a few days. It's still Wednesday. So
2 full days off. We'll see.
Yeah. Hopefully he just stays off it. Maybe we can see Bednors, but it's really going to depend on what Resovia brings to the table. Because on the other side of the net, you have a Zavierce team that is really good and really set in stone and has just been kind of cruising, not necessarily under the radar. But I honestly think, for me, Rob, that there is 3 teams that could win. Like there's 3 teams who could finish 1, 2, 3 in any order in the PlusLiga. And then someone else.
Okay.
Like I think that whoever gets through, like at this point, I don't necessarily see Resovia winning the series.
I don't either.
Right? Like I don't see them being able to get it done in this match against a Zavierce team who's ready to go.
Not without being healthy, man. It's a bummer. It's like not as fun to make fun of Resovia for this particular flame out because it's not as self-inflicted as the previous ones, unless like maybe Bednoser's situation was mismanaged. But Zavierce is just good. I think even if Resovia was healthy and even as hot as they've been, I think Zavierce might be better than them because they're awesome. I mean, the numbers from match 1 are like, you can't draw it up offensively any better for a team to have success. Wings, 17, 16, 15 points. Awesome. Middles, 17 points combined. Awesome. Offensive efficiency, 38%. I think that could maybe even be a little bit better. Reception, good. Maybe even too many service errors and maybe not all the blocking presence they expect. Like offensively, they were so dialed, and I think there's room for them to even be a little bit more like sparkly polished in the breakpoint generation category. Like that is a good team. And if Resovia is not healthy, if they don't have like healthy Bednors, healthy Chabel could make this really interesting on Saturday. Without one or both, I mean, if they don't have either of those guys, no chance.
The chat's saying that Chabel was just cramping, so we'll see if that's actually the case.
That did not look like cramps.
No,
I watched that game today.
No, that did not look like cramps.
No.
That looked like an ankle injury. I've had many ankle injuries in my life. That looked like an ankle injury.
100%.
And yeah, we're gonna have to see what the man who looks like he's in a boy band is gonna do. Nice little frosted tips over there for Bednors, but yeah, no, I think I think we're going to see Warszawa versus Zavierce, which could honestly be one of the potentially more entertaining series we see in all of the playoffs this year.
It would be an awesome series. So yeah, this weekend, 2 games on Saturday, 1 game on Sunday. There's a chance that we'll know our semifinals this time next week. Another wrinkle, just to point out, and we can preview it a little more on next week's show, is that we still have to play the Polish Cup final.
Yeah, next weekend.
That's next weekend. So that'll be like between the quarters and the semis of the playoffs. And Warszawa versus Zavierce is one semifinal, and Lublin versus JSW is the other one. Those could be the semifinals of the league as well.
Yes.
So it's really fun.
I mean, I would like to see something more than just these 4 teams playing each other for the rest of it. But this is what we're probably going to be getting. We're just going to be getting, 3-4 straight matches at the very least of Zavierce versus Warszawa and JW against Lublin.
Very possibly. All right. Before we move on to the other Resovia match that we watched today, congratulations to Novara on winning the CEV Cup. Obviously, they beat a Romanian team that was never in doubt. There are 2 things, though, Everett, that I want to talk about here. One is that now Novara has won all 3 CEV competitions.
Nice.
Which I think is cool. They won it. They won Champions League back with Egonu. They won Challenge Cup very recently, and they won CEV Cup this year. Whatever. The thing that really matters here is this. in the second leg of the CEV Cup final yesterday on the road in Romania, Tatiana Tolok did one of the most ridiculous things I've ever seen. In a set that went to 30-28, so it was extra volleyball, she put up 16 points in one set. Have you ever seen anything like that?
Honestly, I think what I saw today was way more impressive, right? 16 points in one set. Yes, outstanding. However, I will point out that you are a man who likes to maybe discredit Japanese V-League stats because the lack of competition, right? So in a situation here where Novara is playing against Blaj from Romania, you know, we're kind of expecting this. However, I do agree with you. 16 in one set.
I understand the competition, but like 16 in a set on like incredible efficiency. I've never seen a number like that. That's more than half of her team's points.
Well, I mean, this is the only place I have seen it is like high school ball, and this is why I'm pointing towards the
Level
skill
of
factor, because yes, I have seen it, and literally one time in a high school tournament, because we were bored, we decided that we were only going to set one of our players, and we did still win, right? Also, he was a 300-pound Cuban man by the name of that we called Big Neil, and he had I am not kidding you. So in our first game of the season, I was in grade 10, so whatever, sophomore, whatever you weirdos call it. I was in grade 10, and playing on the varsity team, and we played against the best school, maybe the best high school team in Canada that year in Glebe. They was basically all of the Ottawa club team, a bunch of legends, and he was acing them with his standing spin serve, because he would literally just toss it up, and he was a big dude and just walk back and chuck into it. So yeah, the only time I've ever seen someone score that many was the one time we fed Big Neil playing against St. Pete's because they sucked. But I still think that this is kind of a high school stat compared to what we saw today.
What we saw today, I assume you're alluding to the first leg of the men's CEV Cup final,
Yes.
where my hero, Matt Anderson.
It was so annoying. Rob was so annoying in the Discord, because anytime, like, he wouldn't say anything, and then Matt Anderson would come up, and I swear to God, he turned into like a Japanese Ishikawa fan and just started creaming all over the board on Discord.
Which one of the 28 points of Matt Anderson's, or which one of the 12 points that he scored in the fifth set alone? I know it went to 19-17.
I don't give a shit. That is outstanding.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
In a fifth set against a really fucking good team. Against a really fucking good team.
11 for 13 with no errors and a block, in a do or die fifth set in the final of the CEV Cup. Matt, and somebody made a joke in the Discord that I liked, that they should give the MVP award of this match to Murat Yanni-Pazar, just because he was correctly determining that he should set Matt Anderson every single ball in the fifth set.
Yeah.
Don't fix what ain't broken. Feed the man who is 37 years of age. And he was hitting pipe balls out of system against three blockers and scoring them in the fifth.
He just got into another level in that one. And honestly, I don't think Yanni-Pazar had a great match. And honestly, I think that maybe part of the reason that they are in a fifth set was because of Yanni-Pazar, and not in a good way, right? There was a few times, there was a few misconnections. Wouter Termat runs it so fast on the right side.
Crazy fast. Unsustainably fast, in my opinion.
I disagree. He's been doing it for a while, and he's had success with so many different setters in so many different spots. And I mean, he dropped 58 in this one with some pretty damn good efficiency too. And there was a few times, there was a few times when he was just missing the mark on him altogether. But someone in the chat was like, "We just need to set Matt Anderson the rest of the balls," and that's actually what they did. I mean, how many points did Termat have in the? Oh yeah, Termat had one. He was one for 3 in the fifth set. And you know what? Good on Yanni-Pazar for identifying that and just feeding the beast, because 11 through 13 is absolutely diabolical.
It's ridiculous.
I don't care what Tolok did against a bunch of hobbits. I care what Matt Anderson did against Resovia. against Resovia.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was awesome. I loved this match. I mean, Anderson's individual performance obviously stole the show, but the match was really good. And Lucas Fashina played really good for Resovia, which they're going to need him to with Bednorz out. Chebul was a warrior. I mean, whatever he did to his foot or ankle in the late in the match, he was still trying to play on it, was still taking swings. I thought that was impressive. Stephane Boyer was good. I mean, 20 for 42 with only 5 errors was really good. But this was, I'm trying to go through back mentally. How many performances like this that are better than this has Matt Anderson ever had? Like, is this a top 5 match of his career?
Bro, no, this is. Has anyone ever done this?
Yeah, it's insane. 11 for 13 with no errors in a 5th set.
He scored 11 of 9. Like, if I told you that his attacking on the match was 11 for 19, that would be, people would be like, yo, that's really good. Like, Matt Anderson had a game. That was how much he scored in terms of just the points for Ziraat Bank in that match, in just that set. Sorry, he was like 11 of 19 of their 19 points came from Matt Anderson.
Ridiculous. It was a Murat Yenipazar tape ace serve to win the match in 5. This is very fun, very dramatic. Next leg is next week. Also, Trevor Kleveno was terrible.
So you know what? Here's my thing about how bad Kleveno was, is that
0% efficiency.
His attacking was bad. His passing was bad.
Yeah, it was.
His
4 blocks.
His everything else, though, was actually good. 4 blocks. He had 18 serves with 1 and 1, 1 ace, 1 error. So he's not hurting the team there. And I wish we had dig stats on this, because he made a number of clutch digs. And to me, this game from Trevor Kleveno was the antithesis of, if it's not working for you, make it work somewhere else. And there was so many little opportunities for Kleveno to be able to have his opportunities. And I ultimately think that if you take out Kleveno and put in a player who's going to have maybe better numbers, I still don't know if they win this match.
They probably don't. They probably lose the match.
I just think that he makes these like tangible little decisions, and he makes these plays sometimes that even if his his baseline is so good in terms of how he does things, that he's always going to be able to find a place to help out. And that to me was this game today for him.
It's what good athletes do. You're right. If it's not working somewhere, you better find another way to contribute. However, you can't be that bad on both offense and reception and expect your team to win this tournament. So I think that he'll be better. They'll go back to Turkey next week.
Which, dude, I think so. There's a few big things here. One, can Bednorz play? That has to be a massive piece with all of this. But I kind of wanted Resovia to win this one in 5, because I want a golden set. I'm great, like a golden set in Ankara.
6 sets.
Oh, that would be amazing.
That would be amazing.
I really wanted a golden set, but I wanted Resovia to win this one, because I think Ankara has the edge at home. I really do. Also,
I do too. It's still possible. Could still happen.
Can we talk about how the Resovia crowd today, people in the chat, if you're Polish, let me know what's up. But you had a full house, but it still seemed dead. Like, there was never any music. There was no entertainment between points. There was the fans and the drumming, but even that kind of fell out. Like, where was the passion?
I thought you guys, like a stuffy white collar crowd almost.
Yeah. But even did you have no DJ, no announcer? Like, it just seemed dead in between. Like, what was going on? Crowd is old. Yeah.
Yeah, we noticed. Oh yeah, good for Ziraat Bank. All-time Matt Anderson performance, and I love him, and he's the best.
Players say that Ankara is high and ball kinds of travels differently. Oh,
altitude? That's interesting.
Man.
If we're talking about blaming altitude.
What is the altitude? Let's look this up right now.
I don't need to look this up right now. I'm not that interested. If Resovia misses a million serves next week, then maybe we can blame it on the altitude, but I'm not here for it. If you want to look that up, go ahead. I will bring up, I don't have an asset for this, but I heard that Tourcoing won the French Cup.
They did.
Good for them in 5. Sorry, the Coupe de France. They beat Montpellier in
Coupe
5.
de France, not
Coupe.
Coupe.
Coupe de
Coupe
France.
Yes.
I mean, all of the letters in that language are silent, so forgive me for not knowing what the hell's going on with that stupid language. Yeah, good for them. The LNV playoffs are dumb, and they start this week, I assume. Yeah, this weekend.
The altitude in Jejov is 920 feet. The altitude in Ankara is like 3,000 feet.
Oh, damn. That is a difference.
So that is a difference. It is quite a difference.
Well, better figure it out and serve it past the day before the match starts.
Yeah. So also, no, Burkay is making a good point in this chat. Tourcoing, the team that went to the French Cup, has Amir Tizi Oualou.
Oh, the setter. Yeah, I know everyone's in love with this kid.
So I might go back and just watch a little bit of VolleyMetrics footage just to see. Ooh, actually, might even call up Zach Hutchinson. Like, there's a Canadian guy on that team. Just to
so if I'm remembering right, Tourcoing played Lublin in the CEV Challenge Cup. Like Lublin ended up winning, and I watched the match that was in Poland in that series because it was the only one that was broadcast. Because like, who's the Argentinian backup opposite, the big blonde guy? Because he's there. Kukartsev, that's right. Yeah, so Kukartsev is there. He's their scorer, and like I watched this Tizi Oualou kid play, and he was good, but like he's not Nikolov good in terms of setting prospects.
Nikolov's playing against hobbits. Okay, we've had this conversation.
Yeah, but like I know how to identify what is a good setter, independent of what's going on there, and I think that Nikolov is the better prospect.
I think that like. And we've been so privileged to have so much content on Nikolov this year. Like, it's so weird for volleyball, but he just looks like he's just so relaxed and balling and having a good time. I don't think that's the case when he's playing professional ball, right? I think that playing the realities in terms of stress factors, especially like we're not talking about a kid who's coming from high school and coming from club to go play his first year at Long Beach. We're talking about a dude who has played professional volleyball, like for professional clubs, in Bulgaria, and then has played in the VNL. Like this is a guy who has played up here and knows what that pressure is. So as amazing as
you don't think the French youth team is better than the Bulgarian youth team overall? Yeah, obviously, get out of here. The French youth team is one of the best on the planet. Bulgaria is Bulgaria, not apples to apples. I think Nikolov is the better prospect. And Everett, we might as well just talk about it because Long Beach lost their first game of the year in the NCAA this weekend. They got donged at home by UC Irvine.
Yeah, I mean, I think Hiller Heno is just too French.
He's very French.
He's just too French.
He's very French.
Just to steal the words of Matt Houlihan out there, but
he plays really, really French. He plays so French, it's crazy. And yeah, he was awesome. But then Long Beach State turned around the following night on the road at UC Irvine and donged them in response with Nikolov. No, I'm not. Nikolov ripped an ace in overtime to win the third set, win the match. It was really fun. Both super good matches, and Long Beach is still very much the number one team in the country, but they another winning streak. We had 3 winning streaks end this week, Everett. Conegliano, Resovia, and Long Beach State. Interesting.
Yeah, you're actually not wrong on that. That is a big one. I mean, you know what? Long Beach is a really good team. That's what happens when you go and get some of the prospects from everywhere else but America. You end up making a really good team.
Painfully few Americans. It's tough. I
player Bulgarian, a couple of Canadians, a Cypriot,
two Canadians, at least 2 Bulgarians, maybe 3 that like kind of regularly play. They have 1 American middle. They have they have Sani's little brother who plays outside, and maybe he's going to decide to be Italian. Like, who the hell knows?
Really?
Yeah.
Does Aiden Knipe even, or sorry, not Aiden Knipe. Does Alan Knipe even go to any USA Juniors events, or does he just go elsewhere?
Probably just the ones in SoCal, and then he like gets film on these European kids and gives them scholarships. Whatever. Good week in the NCAA. I'm really interested in the race for I'd say there's 5 super good teams competing for 4 spots at the tournament. I think Long Beach State is clearly number 1 in the country. I think UCLA is clearly number 2 in the country because they've beaten everybody they've played except for Long Beach State.
Do you give UCI a spot now because of this win?
It comes down to UCI, USC, and Hawaii, and they've all kind of like beaten each other in a triangle this year so far. Like UCI beat USC twice, but they got killed on the road by Hawaii. Then you get the upset win over Long Beach. That certainly helps. USC beat Hawaii on the road, but lost to Irvine, and then Hawaii, like you can put it all together from there. That triangle. Two of those teams are going to make the tournament. One of them will not, and I have no idea which is which at this point. It's really compelling. Plus, we get USC versus UCLA soon. I think they play twice in the next 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah, the big question for me, I think, is USC.
Yeah.
I just don't.
Dude, I love that team. I love that team. They're like of like my just favorite teams to watch. I think they might be my favorite team to watch in the NCAA this year. They are fun. They're really good. Dylan Klein is a monster. They have 2 incredible middles, one of whom, and then a third who's like 6'11" and is perpetually hurt. They have one of the best freshmen in the country in Sterling Foley. They have a good setter. Like they have a good freshman libero. Like I love USC. Best USC team by far since Micah Christensen.
That's been a long time. But also,
Yes.
like you're saying, a lot of freshmen right now. That's why I don't believe in them.
They have 3 freshmen in the starting lineup.
Yeah, it's a lot.
It is a lot.
Also, Ozzy, what the fuck does that mean?
Everett loves a triangle. I also don't know what that means. Speaking of things in the States, League One, which we haven't talked about in detail in a couple weeks, had a super good week. And this week coming up is the last week of the League One regular season. So the standings here are important, except for the fact that all 6 teams make the playoffs. So the playoffs, I think, are next weekend. It ends on the 13th, which I think is next week, Sunday. They're doing their playoff event down in Louisville. All 6 teams make it, but the top 2 get a bye straight to the semis. So that is meaningful. Atlanta is already in. They will be the 1 seed. But I think there's a bit of a race between Madison and Houston, and maybe even like Salt Lake can spoil it for Madison. So Madison this week plays Salt Lake on Friday and then Houston on Saturday in less than 24 hours. And those are 2 super good teams. Madison was started the season as the worst team in the league kind of by far. And since Annie Drews came back to be healthy, they've won 6 in a row and are like low key one of the, well, definitely the hottest, but just best and most fun teams to watch in League One. So I'm curious about this weekend because like stealing a bye, if Madison beats Salt Lake and Houston, I think they jump Houston in the 2nd spot and steal a bye after being the worst team in the league the first half of the year. So that's pretty compelling. I'm curious to see how that goes and leading into the playoffs next weekend. I'm a little bit bummed that all 6 teams make it. I like a playoff where you can't include everybody. I think if 4 of the 6 made it, that would be okay. But like Omaha is 5-10. Austin is a very disappointing 5-10 after having a good roster. Like I don't think you should go 5-10 and make the playoffs.
No, but also let's be honest that this year League One's vibe is like let's everyone love everyone.
It's participation trophy feeling. I agree.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't. Not to say that the competition isn't legitimate and that it's not really good competition. I feel very much it is, but there's just none of that, back and forth and like I hate you, you hate me. It's very much like let's take a big team photo after everyone. Yeah, it makes sense that you're gonna invite everyone to the playoffs.
Yeah, I kind of get that vibe as well. But I'm curious to watch the playoffs because like whatever that midseason event was that they ran in Kansas City, I thought was really good. It produced good volleyball. It was compelling. It was widely viewed. So they've got another opportunity next weekend at the playoffs to like end the season with a bang and then kind of clear the stage for the PVF, which I don't have an asset for. But Everett, like what did anything interesting happen in the last week in the other league?
So the biggest thing that's happened in the PVF this week is that, Orlando was one of the hottest teams in the league. They were rolling. They were running. Pornpoon dishing the butter. Brittany Abercrombie slicing and dicing. Adora Anea, on the left side, super solid. Could drop 30 at least in one of the games. All of a sudden, Anea stopped being on the roster, and as of yesterday, she has now signed with Vegas. So
what?
I have never heard of anything kind of like this. because she was a starter. And like I remember, I remember Tori Dilfer was let go from Atlanta last
Yeah,
year.
I got
But
to
it was also
Columbus. Then they kind of like retconned that into saying that it was a trade.
yeah, and it was just clear that she wasn't really happy and that they wanted to get her out of bounds. So I have some little birds who are doing some digging right now to find out what's actually happened, and maybe those in our chat over on the USA or the USA Pro section can give us a little bit of insight. But that's something that came up today, and the reality is, as of like right now, Omaha is just kind of running away with the league. They're 12-5.
They are
No,
14 and
14-5.
5.
14-5. And you know what? They've just been so steady. Even though they haven't had as many as long of winning streaks that teams like Vegas or like Orlando have had, they've just been so steady.
I think I have a little bit of tea for you here.
Oh, you got tea for me? Hit me.
I just went to Volleybox and looked up Adora Anaya and to figure out what the hell's going on with this transfer. The Vegas Thrill, her new team, posted on Instagram yesterday that she signed to the active roster. So what's funny is that the people all up in the comments are like, "Is this an April Fool's joke?" Because yesterday was April 1st and everyone's confused and like didn't think that this was a real thing. Turns out it is. Someone in the comments says, "Let's go." Also, the trade deadline maybe shouldn't be the same as April Fool's next year. And Adora Anaya herself commented underneath that saying, "Everything happens for a reason."
Okay. That's not really tea.
I don't know what that means, but it's real. Like the transfer is real.
Yeah, I know. That's why we're bringing it up. Like I know it's real because I've talked to people within the Vegas organization who are being like, "Yeah, she's in the building," But I just don't know any of the actual tea of like why it's happening. And it's not like the TVF has announced a trade or anything like that too. But I love it.
I love it too.
Yeah, give me the drama for sure. And especially like Vegas is a team too. The fact that she's going to Vegas is a team that needs a little bit of secondary scoring. That P2 position has really been an issue for them. So if they can have Hannah Maddox and they can have a Dora Anaya, that's really like that makes Vegas a really, really dynamic team. And then you can just figure it out, whether it's like Charity Looper or Cameron Hannah or Lauren Jardine, who's going to figure out that right side spot. But also, Anaya is a really good passer, and it's going to help settle things down for when you have a little bit over, like, Alicia Glass-Childress is still quality, but she's just not moving at the same clip.
Not the way she did when she was playing for the national team. Yeah, Vegas has lost 4 out of 5. Like they've been on a huge skid, weren't they? They were top of the league for a hot second at the early part of the season.
And now they're sitting out. Like
they're outside. Outside the playoffs.
The only the two teams that I think, like, realistically, how Vegas is impacted by this transfer, I think is going to be huge. I think we're going to see Orlando drop. Like, just having Pornpoon and Abercrombie is just not enough. Like, I know that they've got some good, like Natalie Foster is one of the best servers in the league, but I just don't think it's enough. Atlanta is going to be really interesting because Leah Edmondson continues to be arguably the best player in the league and has a definite shot of being the 2-time MVP.
Atlanta has won 8 in a row.
Atlanta's red hot. They're really, really
good. The Atlanta vibe we're talking about.
This is the Atlanta vibe as one of the teams that has, two different situations over there. And then the other big question for me is Indy. Because Indy is still playing without Lekator member Mene. We've seen her come kind of in and out of the lineup since suffering that ankle injury, but they're still able to get big wins. Azani Taylor has been fantastic, and Sydney Hilly has been as well. Nina Chaich, in my opinion, has to be the rookie of the year. She has been lights out and so steady this entire time. But if Indy can get LMM back, I really think that they can potentially make a decent run when it comes to playoff times in May.
And they've got plenty of time for it too. Yeah, May, like you said, like the PDF's playoffs are a full month later than those of League One. Much longer season.
I don't know how I feel about
matches.
Because I was really into watching the PVF in the first few weeks, but now we're into like week 12 or week 13. I can't really remember, and it's just, I think that this upcoming week there's only 3 matches, and they're all on Saturday, and they all start at 7. But there's going to be a really interesting matchup which you can watch on VBTV, and that one is going to be Omaha taking on Orlando.
Yeah,
it's gonna be
that's
going
you're
head-to-head.
right. 3 matches at the same time. That's clearly the best of them. Yeah, I think it might be a little bit too much volleyball that they're playing, man.
Yeah,
Too many matches per week and too long of a season. I mean, League One's playing 16 matches only. That might not be enough volleyball. I don't love the way that they schedule things either, but like running into mid-May is like that's encroaching on like the teams that are playing in Champions League. Like that's as late as the club season can possibly go.
Yeah, but I do think that when you're in the PVF, you also have the ability that like how many of these athletes are going to play national team afterwards?
Very few.
Very few, right? So that like you can run that league a little bit longer, and then you have a legitimate off season.
Yeah, fair enough. Let's see. What do I have left? Oh yeah, I played this weekend. I think that
Did you win?
No, I did not win. The Chicago Icemen won this tournament, the VLA North Division Cup. It was super good. They beat this new St. Louis team. The St. Louis Stallions are brand new. They won a cup tournament the previous week, and then they walk in, get to the finals, and lose to a damn good Icemen team. Like this match was actually super good. The final was super good. I encourage people to go back and watch it. But then there was also the Discord giving me a hard time because I got to step in and set on Saturday for a very different Chicago team at painfully low level. But my team won. I had a good time. Somebody put in the Discord that watching me play. Somebody said that watching me play volleyball was like watching Adam Sandler play basketball, which I thought was absolutely hilarious.
So someone in the Discord saw you play?
Well, yeah, because like the game was streamed, like the video is out there. So shout out to my guy Alex Fon, who's a big volleyball fan. He was at the event. He's also in the Discord. So he told the Discord that I was playing.
Were you dishing butter too?
I was, yeah. I was setting. I think I had probably
set it up.
I had at least 3 kills, maybe 4. I had at least 3 aces. I had 2 or 3 blocks. I won a joust on match point that I did not get the call on the double contact against the guy, which was a bummer. That should have been a fun way to end the match. But yeah, we won. My first time playing with this brand new Franklin volleyball that the VLA is using this year. It's the same one as the PVF.
Yeah,
and it's not very good.
Yeah, I've heard it's terrible. I've heard it's really bad.
Sorry, any VLA people or any sponsors, but that volleyball is not very good.
It reminds me of the old Tachikara ball. I actually have it here somewhere. This one, Tachikara made this ball that they tried to make it like
what is that thing?
So they call it the 6 because it only had 6 panels. So like this they honestly look like period pads, but like this is a panel here too. This is a panel. And then there's like the majority of it is just 2 panels, and then you have some smaller ones. And Tachikara made this for Volleyball Canada, and I remember it because it came through the office when I was working at the Volleyball Canada office, and we all tested it, and we were all like,
"What the hell is this?" Yeah.
Like those of us who were using it, and like we made like a whole thing, and then it went back into production, and then a few years later, I was doing it, and they showed us like, we want to make a promo. So we busted our butts. I made a promo for them. I made a whole bunch of videos for them. Actually, they never paid me, and the ball ended up being a piece of shit. So yeah, that Franklin ball reminds me a lot of this Tachikara.
Yeah, good memories. You can kind of see the Franklin ball in the photo there. It's like a red, white, and blue spiral looking thing, but the texture on it is weird. Like, I mean, I appreciate Franklin for investing quite a bit of money in the VLA to get us to play with this ball, but it is a step back from the Mikasa without question. But yeah, I had a good time playing. If you really want to watch that, the link's in the Discord. But the comment of watching me play volleyball being like Adam Sandler playing basketball, I thought was pretty hilarious. I do want to give myself the caveat that I'm really not a setter. I've never been a setter. I've never been coached to set. I just figured it out, and we won, so we'll take it.
Nice.
Yeah, good times.
Did you ever the best is when you're tracking down a ball, maybe it's a bit of a shank, and you just go back, and then it's just a standing set, and you're just like, Rip! You've got to do a little bit of an emote too there as you do it.
Yeah, I didn't do a whole lot of chirping while I was playing. Maybe I should have. Although I was
not chirping, but if you're gonna go
a little noise.
Yeah, if you're gonna set a high ball, especially standing, just a little, just something.
Yeah, I had a couple of them that felt like that, like chasing down a ball by position 2 and setting it all the way across the court, from outside the sideline to the left side. My attackers were good, by the way. I had
I mean, they must have been. If you
Yeah,
had one
right.
pathetic.
I had good attackers.
I've seen your hands, and they're not terrible, but they're also not good.
They're not good. So what I can't do is set the middle. I have no idea how to do that. I've never done it. I've set in a lot of formats, but very rarely have I set in 6-on-6.
Your hands are way too this.
Yeah,
Like,
I need to take the ball out higher.
You set straight up and down.
Well, hey, we won, and I
That's that.
probably scored at least 6 points in 3 sets, so I'll take that.
How were your right side sets? Or
Good. That was what I set the best. Yeah. Shout out to my guy Kuba.
Was he a lefty or a righty?
He's a lefty. He's a Polish guy.
Okay, that's why, because you could let them die inside a little bit.
No, I tend to push the ball too far out when I set the ball back. But
are you taking it from down here? Or are you releasing high?
Oh no, I released it high. I try not to deep dish. What my hands aren't good. I will say about my hands is that they're fast. The ball comes out of my hands quickly. Sometimes it doesn't go where it needs to go. But I'm never ever going to get called for a lift when I set the ball. So I'll give myself that one. Yeah, it was fun. If you all really care about watching me set, the videos in the Discord. But yeah, good VLA event. It was fun to be back there. I hadn't been in the mix at one of those in a little while.
Nice.
That's a show, right?
That's everything.
That's everything. We did it. So there's more ball this weekend than there was last weekend, which I'm excited about. SuperLega semifinals start this weekend. The PlusLiga quarterfinals might wrap up this weekend. I think like the women's Turkish Cup might be this weekend. Let me double check on that. Yeah, it is. Women's Turkish Cup final is this Saturday. The semis are on Friday. So yeah, next week it should be a pretty big show. We should have a lot going on, and maybe another banger between Ziraat Bank and Resovia next week in Turkey. We'll see. But make sure you join the Volleyball Source Discord. The link is in the description. It's the best online volleyball chat community in the world. And give us some love in the thumbs up category and in the comments of this video. It helps us out a lot. And that's about it.
We actually have a full day of ball on Saturday.
Yeah, it's a lot of ball.
Yeah.
I might be playing a tournament on Saturday and watching on my phone in between, but we'll see.
Nice. All right. Sounds good. See you later, people.
We love you, people. Peace out.
Adios.